Welcome everyone and thanks for watching. This is your girl LC. I want to we live and we learn. When people are pushed to the wall and they have no route for escape, don't be surprised if they turn back and face whoever they consider to be the enemy, even if it means that they will die. A man was fired from his job. He was fired with false allegations on the job. Being someone who had a background and knowledge in law, he felt like that was a slap in the face and he was not going to just let go. So he decided to bring in to gather his facts and pursue the situation legally. He was fighting with a big corporation. And you better believe it, most companies usually have the corporate lawyers. They pay them lots of money. And even when they get to court, some of them have the judges under their payroll. And if you are an individual facing a corporation, that's a daunting task when you want to face them legally. You run the risk of going to jail, even no matter how valid and clear your case is. We find many people in jail today, not really because they committed a crime, but because when it got to the legal system, they probably didn't have the money to pursue it accordingly, or they just had no way for someone to defend the truth for them, even though it's true, and they ended up in jail. This guy didn't want that, because as the legal proceedings started going on, he noticed, as his own lawyer would often tell him, that the secretary to the judge or in court there, each time a motion was filed by his own lawyers, the secretary happened to be a sister or a relation to one of the corporate lawyers. And so each time a motion was filed and she saw it, she immediately will alert the brother who was a lawyer or whatever. And the judge was aware of it. And before this man's lawyers could counter anything, or they felt surprised that each time a motion was put forward, the other lawyers were already coming with a counter motion and things like that. And so his lawyer told him, this is the situation in court. This secretary, before anything is done, she's the one who gives out this information. The judge is aware about it and stuff like that. And even in court, the man said he could always see that the judge was always in favor or acted like he was biased with the case, and would often favor the lawyers of the corporation and stuff like that. And his own lawyer even went as far as telling him that don't be surprised, this judge is on this payroll, on this corporation's payroll. We wouldn't be surprised because we do know that he has such a record in this court. The man, upon hearing that, told his own lawyer that they should write and petition that they do not want that particular judge. He does not want that particular judge sitting on his case again. The judge did not listen. When the motion was filed, the judge gave one excuse or whatever it is, but something went on and the judge was never taken off the case. He wrote many petitions and said he doesn't feel like he's going to get a fair trial from that particular judge, but they didn't listen. The man continued to mount the stage and mount the bench, and he kept seeing that things were not going in his favor. And so one of these particular days, he was going to mount the bench. The guy went and called his hometown, gave the judge names, gave whatever, and said, I keep telling, I've had my lawyer write several motions that this man should get off this case. I want the court assigning a different judge to me, a neutral judge, who I believe will come in and give me a fair trial or even listen to what I'm saying. But this man is adamant, keeps moving around. So I don't want this man, dead or alive, I don't want him on my case again. The day that the case was adjourned and they were showing it up in court, as they sit there and the judge is about to mount the bench, he collapses right there. And 911 is called. They come and carry him off. He doesn't sit for the case that day. He goes home. No, they carry him to the hospital. From the hospital, he goes home. He is then sick in such a way that they eventually now look for a different judge to sit and try the case. That's how the case is tried. And the man eventually wins the case after a lot of struggle. Mind you, this corporation he was dealing with, they even went as far as framing him up for other things. It was really nasty, but he did what he needed to do and got that judge off his case, and they brought in a different judge that eventually tried his case to the end, and he was said to have won the case against the corporation. Now, there are many people who don't believe in voodoo. That's your business. If you don't believe in it, fine and good for you. It doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. If you don't believe that people use other powers or wicked powers or whatever, that's your business. It doesn't change the fact that those powers are there. And when people are pushed to the wall, when those of you who sit in offices of authority, offices of decision making, when those of you who are judges, police officers and whatever, you sit there and people's lives and destinies are in your hands, and you feel you can twist it anyhow or do just anyhow because for some reason you have that position and you can do it, or because someone is paying money somewhere. You need to know. You need to know. There are people who are not smiling. There are people who, if it means they have to take you out of their way to be heard, they will. And just like I told you, this guy, he called his hometown, gave the name of the judge. The judge on the other hand is collapsing in court right there. Oh, they may just say, oh, it's a heart attack, it's a stroke. Nobody really gives a damn. All the guy needed was, he needed the judge out of the way. Because he had tried his other part, legal, written, whatever, told his lawyer, and the judge was resisting, everybody was resisting because they thought they could. So he went the other way around and used whatever powers he needed to do to destroy the judge, to get out of his way so that he could get a fair trial, and he did that. Was that right? You may say that, it wasn't right for him to go that route, to have to destroy him. But what about the judge and the people who sit in all these positions of power? When people are talking, when people are crying, are you listening? Are you listening? Or are you giving a deaf ear because some other person is paying bigger money, or you just want to use your position and be... When you just want to use your position and be mean and do whatever you can do because you think that be mindful. Not everybody who comes and stands will tolerate that. And if it means taking you out of the way, people will, just so that they can be heard. Do I blame this guy for going that extra mile? If he didn't do that, he'd be in jail. Oh yes, he will be in jail. He will be in jail because the allegations against him, the way the case was turning, it wasn't in his favor. Whereas the truth was right there. But because people felt like they're in position to twist, they have more money to pay more lawyers. Because these lawyers that defend corporations, they don't defend them for the truth. They defend them for the money. They defend them for the money, not the truth. Even when the truth is staring in the face like this, as long as it's the corporation, oh no, it's the money that is talking. And so rather than sit and go to jail, the brother did what he needed to do. Kick his behind to the curb and keep moving. It is not right. But I say this to say that those of you who are in position of authority, those of you who are always in position of decision making, be fair and just. Because you never know where the arrow is going to come from. Don't say you were not warned. Don't say you were not warned. There are many of you who will never be the same again. I think it was my daughter who told me of a story. Yeah, this guy he just ruined his boss. He turned the boss into a vegetable. Turned the man into a vegetable. Made the man so sick. And the man had to go on an early retirement. Why? Because the man was always on his case, creating problems for him at the job, using his position, doing write-ups, will not allow him to be promoted, always finding fault. So he just did what he needed to do and gave the man a strange ailment and kicked him. He just getting sick, not even knowing what is happening with him, sick, went home and ended up early retirement, and the man stayed on the job. Be careful. Don't say you were not warned. People do these things. People, when pushed to the wall, they will turn back and fight. And there's no telling what they will use to fight. So just be very, very careful. As the judge tried to mount his bench, he collapsed, and that was it. Taken to the hospital. They'll be in the hospital, they'll be saying, oh, EKG, this and that and that. That's not what is wrong with him. There are powers that are working. And whether you believe in it, you don't believe in it, it don't mean a damn thing. The powers are working. If you do not fear God, that's when you do not know. So I urge everybody in a position of authority, in an office of decision making, be fair, just and fair, so that your lives are saved. Do not say you were not warned. Thanks for watching.
I invite you to keep regular dates with me on my new series of Issues by Elsie on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook.
And thanks for joining me on this journey